Afternoon, guys. I hope everybody is well. So it's Monday, the 6th of February, and the market opens in around about 7 minutes. Hope everyone's had a great weekend, and hope everyone had a good Friday. When I say good Friday, I don't mean Good Friday as in Easter. I was busy Friday, I had some family things to take care of, so I hope everybody had a good Friday, trading Friday. So, we got in this morning, leading loser. Morning, Jim. How you doing, Jim? I don't have any Apex accounts, but if my accounts don't show up on an trade, I can. Okay, somebody got any issues? Okay, leading loser. I'll just try restarting everything, rebooting everything, see how you get on. What's good afternoon? Me neither. Okay. Nicholas, afternoon. I gotta get this one right. Zalonte, I think that's right. Afternoon. Jim, how you doing, Jim? Dr. Linny, how you doing? What? How was your Friday? As well as can be expected, it was quite a nice gathering. There was a lot of people there. So as far as funeral goes, yeah, it was a nice one. Got my mum finally sorted. And later rest. So all good. It's just a moving on time now, trying to deal with it all and just moving on, trying to get, as you do. Randolph, good morning. How you doing, my friend? Grandpa Roger, good morning. Sam, how you doing? Prowares. I'm going to have to work on that one. Is that somewhere in the ballpark? That's the trouble with these sort of names we sort of make up. They can be a bit tricky, can't they? So, yeah, I hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's had a good, relaxing weekend and ready to do a little bit of trading. So, Toad, how you doing, Toad? So, market opens in around about 5 minutes. We did open and we had a bit of a gap here this morning. We had this little bit of a downtrend, which broke out the bottom, and we've sort of bounced off here. So, we seem to be some form of a range at the moment. It's a bit too early to tell, really. We got no news today, so there's nothing we need to keep an eye on. So, as you know, I'm $748 up on this evaluation, and it's actually day 3 on the evaluation. I did trade it for Thursday, but Friday morning I just did a one tick micro just to make the day count, because if I do happen to get a good day or two and finish early, it's useful to get those micros in and just get the days done, and then you can sort of because if you finish on day 6 and you've hit your target, we'll be pleased that we did a micro. So Jacko, how you doing, Jacko? Traders are amongst the few that look forward to Monday. I certainly do. I gotta say, I kind of hate weekends in a strange way. But now, I'll tell you one thing I have noticed is when you do trade, it can be quite a stressful time. So the days off are essential. It is good to have some time off. Whether they take your stress levels down or not, who knows? Who knows? There was something I was going to say, actually. A lot of you know I've had a few issues with picking tops and bottoms, and I was watching some of the Gorilla Guys videos, and funnily enough, he happened to mention that a lot of traders lose trade by trying to pick tops and bottoms, and obviously that struck a chord with me, because that seems to have there seems to be an issue that I've been suffering with. So on Thursday when I traded, I didn't touch any highs and lows, and hey ho, I ended up winning 2 trades. So he doesn't pick tops or bottoms. I was looking at a lot of his videos. He picks basically the 3 trades, second entries, sort of failures, and I'll say 3 trades, just the 2 types of trades, second entries and failures, obviously within the trade, within the trend, and sort of as we break out the trend, but he has some real success. So it's something I'm going to avoid completely. It's just been the bane of my life. In fact, I looked at that PA account. Those two trades I both lost on that PA account were both picking tops and bottoms, ironically. And a couple of the really bad days I had, the trades I picked were tops and bottoms. So there's no argument there. Tops and bottoms just do not work for me. Now, I'm not saying if you don't bounce up here 3 times, exactly the same place, and have a beautiful bearish bar, that might not be something I'll consider. I don't know. We'll see. But the trouble is a lot of these range days, every time they go up, they seem to hit a different point. You know, you might get one that hits here, then you'll get one that hits here. And whether it's just lately with the markets being so volatile, but I know when I started trading and I watched some of Mac's videos about trading ranges, and he said trading ranges are easy. Short the tops and buy the bottoms. Now, well, they're not that easy. Perhaps they may have been at one point, but they are very, very random lately where they hit, and it's very easy to get suckered into one, tick below, and it goes a little bit higher or as a break. So I think it's much safer to avoid those. It's certainly something I've decided to do if I want to get anywhere, which I desperately do. So it's something we're going to leave alone. Where are we now? Okay, market opens in about 1 minute. Okay, King Priest, afternoon, lads. Which bank account did you use for receiving payments from Apex? Well, if you're US, it's not so bad for you guys, because obviously you can get paid straight into dollars and it paid straight into your bank. But obviously the payments that they make goes into Deal, because Deal are the company that deal with all their payments. And I use personally a Revolut account. And part of the reason I use a Revolut account is because I can get paid in dollars. Obviously, I'm UK based. Now, if it goes into my bank account, they charge me 3%. So on $2,000, it's not cheap. And obviously later on down the line, whereas if I have the markets just opened, if I have the Revolut Steel account, I can have unlimited foreign exchange free of charge, as long as it's between Monday and Friday, so it doesn't cost me a penny. So I personally use Revolut. I suppose mostly because I'm UK based, but I can't speak for you guys in the US. I think money can go straight into your bank account. Obviously, you haven't got the foreign exchange element, so it's not an issue for you guys. So I hope that helps. Oh God, there's another mouthful. Electricus, is that right? Okay, I might have to have a few practices of that. What indicators are you using to show how much ticks there on the bar? That one there, it's called, and you'll be shocked about the name, it's called bar size counter. There you go. Told you, bar size counter, and that was free. And that is where it comes from. ticktech.com, and it was free, and it's just called bar size counter. So ticktech.com. And I just like that. I probably don't use it as much now, because if I see a decent bar, I tend to just go for it now, and usually you can get a bit of an idea knowing what the ATR, how big a bar, but it can be useful, especially when you're first starting. But that tells you what that current bar is tick wise. Obviously, that's the 2000 tick chart countdown, and that one there is what the previous bar is tick in ticks. So ticktech.com, and that's free. You're very welcome. You're UK based as well. Yeah. Okay. So I pay $12.99 a month for the Revolut Steel account, which comes as it's a steel card. You get other benefits, hotels, cheaper hotels, and a few other bits and pieces. But then I get unlimited foreign exchange, as long as it's between the hours of Monday to Friday. Otherwise, it's 1%. Whereas if you go for the next level down card, I think you only get $1,000. But if I've got Barclays and they charge me 2.99%. So if you end up withdrawing $10,000 at one point, it's quite a chunk. Yeah, $300 basically they charge you to transfer to UK. So I like the fact that it goes in dollars, and I can either leave it there or I can transfer it straight away to pounds. Or there's lots of benefits with it. It's $12.99 a month, so that's what I personally use. Works out good if you're UK. You don't want to be paying 3% for sure. Bye Money has a free floating tick counter. Free floating tick counter. Okay. Free floating. Okay, I'll take your word for that, Jim. When you say free floating, you mean something? Oh, I don't know what he's got, actually. I have watched him quite a few times. Measured move hit. You're about from here to here, are you? Yeah, we're seem to be getting a sideways with a slight upward bias here, or whether there is possibly started here, hit once here, hit once here. Oh yeah, I'd say that was pretty much okay. In fact, I had that early and I did have a quick look at that, but I left it alone. So that looks like it could be in a range. It certainly fits okay, but it is still early yet. We've had this range channel. We've had this channel down. We've had a break out the bottom, quite a steep break. We've bounced here a couple of times and we're working up, but it's certainly respecting that bottom line. I think we can all agree with that. It's hit it. Started there and it's hit it once, a couple of times here, ticked perfectly off it here and here, and respected it here. So I'd say that's as good as a channel. I think it's fair to say. Tick counter that floats next to the bar. Same as this, yeah. Is that what you mean, Jim? Is that what you're looking for? Because that's the same. I see 2 failed attempts to fade back into this range. Granted, the gap will probably get filled. Well, it did try, didn't it, there? But it wasn't. It was, I don't know, a few points short. Yeah, I think we're in an overall range at the moment. But obviously it's early, isn't it, yet? I didn't have a look at the daily. Yeah, I didn't have a look at the daily. Let me just have a quick scan at the daily. Window. Let me just yank this out of the way. Let's just have a quick scan at the daily. Because we have been in this downtrend, haven't we, since the beginning of last year? And for the first time in the last few days, we've broken out of it. So it does look like, we just move that out of the way. Yeah, just going to quickly, where are we? That's kind of 2 legs back, isn't it, there? 1 leg, sideways, another leg. Yeah, it's going to quickly drag in the daily. Yeah, we've been in this downtrend since the beginning of last year, and we had a break out of it. And the last couple of days, we seem to have come back into it. I hate this. Seem to have come back into it. So we may get a bit of a. I'm certainly expecting some downward movement at some point. Okay, so let's keep an eye on this because it's respecting this line. So let's just have a look. Okay, so I'm seeing here 1 leg down and 2 legs down. See what happens at the bottom of this channel. What that was. Now it's hard to say whether this is a break because it is quite tight there. If I pull that down to there, actually that fits as well. So let me just tuck that up a little bit. But it's obviously going to be a second entry or a failure before I get involved in that. So that looks like 2 legs down to me. See if we can push above here and give me a lower high, a higher low. Certainly fitted in there quite nice. I think it's fair to say we've respected this line all the way up. I think Penguin would have shorted that. What, that there? Seeing if there's anything else up here that would make it turn down. Let me just get a pop an order in a buy order just in case, if I can get a decent size higher low there. Okay. I like that. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, I might have got lucky there. Let's see what happens here. Okay, I think I just got lucky there. There's going to be some shorts in there, so I was going to pop that. Let's just have a look there, see what happens there. Just thinking if there's some longs there. There's a failure there which is triggered. So what I might do is I'll see if it comes up and hits this. No, I'm going to leave that alone. Something about that I don't like. Let's be sensible. Let's call this a break then. So the thing I'm seeing here at the moment is we touched here, we're nice, touched here, broke here. So I'm liking that. I think it's. I can accept the fact that there's a range, a channel. Let's just keep an eye on things at the moment. Picking tops and bottoms again. Well, no, I'm not picking tops and bottoms. I was looking for a second entry. And there's a new high there. So that there was a second entry long. So I'm not picking tops and bottoms. We've got a higher matching high there, so you can recount there. So we've got 1 leg down, 2 legs down. So that's a second entry long, which triggered. And this, to me, is a channel. So you're wrong. You're wrong. You're looking for a failure, yet you tried to get a first entry. No, it wasn't a first entry. If this is a trend channel, yeah, we've got a high them and a matching high, so you can recount that. So first entry, second entry, that's a second entry long, which is triggered. Now, I think the downside to that is it's just a touch under the EMA. It would have been better higher than the EMA, but if that's an uptrend and I'm taking a second entry long, it's not a first entry, and it's not picking tops and bottoms. You should know that. I'm disappointed, I have to say. Yeah, this to me looked like a channel. Yeah, touch there, touch there, touch there, touch there, touch there. To me, that's a channel. We're making higher highs and higher lows. Yeah, that's a channel to me. As we're coming back toward the bottom of this trend channel, we've got a high there and a matching high there, so you can recount there. So we've got first entry and a second entry long. That just looked like two legs to me and a second entry long. Obviously, I got lucky because it didn't trigger. Well, it didn't get me stopping there. Well, it was at the EMA, wasn't it? That's why I was taking a second entry. It didn't work anyway, so. See, I know what you're saying, Brant. Range, follow, but we also get channels within ranges, don't we? And we trade them as we see them. To me, I don't know about anybody else. To me, that looked like a channel. Touched here, touched here, touched here. We're clearly making higher highs and higher lows. Yeah, clearly. Touched here, touched here. To me, yeah. Now, to me, that looked like what, two pushes down. But if you look here, new high, matching high, so you can restart the count. So we've got first entry, second entry. That to me is a second entry long. Yeah, it's borderline at the EMA. I don't know what to say. Don't look for the larger trends. Well, you have to. I mean, that's a trend, isn't it? So it's a trend. You say don't look for the larger trends. I only draw the larger trends is when we start to respect an area, and to me, that's a trend. Trends, or you're trending upwards. You're making higher highs and higher lows. We touched perfectly here. Yeah, two bars touched perfectly. Another bar. That one a tick off. That bar. That bar. So that's clearly a trend. I don't know, you can't see that. That to me is clearly a trend. Now, what went against me here was taking that below the EMA. So I don't know what you guys don't. I don't know. You do, you like, don't like. Well, I can't just see a larger trend down at the moment. It's hard to say, isn't it, really? Could you call that at the moment? It's hard to say. I think that is too big. That to me is a trend. That to me is a trend. That's a trend. That's a trend. These are smaller trends within trend. You know about those 5 bearish bars. See, what I saw was this. I saw that, a break and a new low, which bounced right on the bottom of this. So I waited for a higher low plus a second entry long. So a higher low, second entry long. That's what I saw. That's why I went for it. Now, I'd say the only downside would be I'd have preferred it to be a bit above the EMA. But it's just the way it both bars here, both bars here, Both bars here, both bars here. Everything's sitting nicely along there, which would indicate to me we'd push up. I think the only downside to it is it was slightly below the EMA. Well, at the bottom of the EMA, what should I say? Oh, excuse me a second. Okay. Oh, dear. Yeah, it is quite choppy there, isn't it? Not at the moment, but no. I've got it up here just so I can get used to looking at positions. But no, I'm only just trading the one at the moment. Just doesn't work with the. I was trying it with two sims, but apparently there's an issue with trading them with sims. Apparently, you only trade with a sim if you're trading another one as a micro. Don't ask me why, but so I just put that there just to get used to looking at the position. So when we get a trade, I want to get into the habit of glancing there just to check that they're filled and whether there's anything left when the trade closes. So just as a just to get used to it, just in my eye line, just to get used to it, because obviously at some point if I trade more accounts, obviously I want to get into that habit of a quick glance in there. So I have done a little bit of research about Recanto, and I have heard a couple of people saying you can get similar sort of issues with Recanto as well, trades not triggering. And from what I can gather, it's just down to the speed of the market sometimes. Obviously, it depends how quick and how volatile it is. It tends to be the quick movement. Sometimes it can drop down and go up in a split second, and sometimes it's not quick enough, or it's too quick to pick up all the trades on the other accounts. That's the thing that's the only thing I can gather really, but no one can sort of say definitively. Yeah, these are the ones I'm avoiding. Just picking the tops and bottoms, mainly in the range. That's where I seem to have a lot of issues. So obviously, depending on where you draw the top of the range, whether it's sort of here, or I did have it down here, but half of it's sticking out the top now, so it's hard to say exactly, but probably somewhere around here. But no, it's these ones where they work to the top. See, the way Mac teaches you, he said range days are easy. You just short the top by the bottom. Well, easier said than done sometimes. I mean, obviously we're clearly moving up at the moment, so short that one, you can get yourself into some trouble, can't you? But trouble is, every time I leave them, they come down. So it's the same with that one, although it didn't come down much if you'd have taken that one. But the trouble is, it's hit and miss, isn't it? I mean, you could get half a dozen people and they may change the top of this. I'd say it's hard, isn't it? Because we're still moving up, but although we are going sideways, we've been doing it with a bit of an upward bias. But yeah, I'm just, you think, okay, if it's hit it here, it's hit it here, it's hit it here. Anything bearish, take it. But I mean, they're a bit congested for a start anyway. But I'm just avoiding this. I'm just looking for second entries and failures, really, or maybe a higher low. We'll see. So yeah, see if you'd have taken that one, look. But what do you do? If you look every time it's going up here, next one's higher, next one's higher. Right, so you got this one, next one's higher. It's certainly working its way up, isn't it? So, I mean, if it's bouncing at the top and bottoms every time, then I'd say maybe something like that would be a lot more predictable. But guaranteed if I took it, it'd trigger and push up, because look, everything's been going up. And up until there, EMA's pointing upwards. So, what do you do? What do you do? So I'm just waiting for more obvious trades. See, that for me was a small trend down. We had a break in a new low, and that was a higher low. I also noticed that that's the same as that, so it was a second entry long. Now, sometimes they can go sideways. I mean, it's below the EMA. If it was above the EMA, then obviously that might, who knows really. But I know what you're saying. We've got this downtrend, but it doesn't necessarily mean, as we've already had this break, we've hit a new low. And the bit that encouraged me to think about where we're going up is the fact that we bounced perfectly. We closed perfectly with both those bars, and we've hit it there a couple of times, we've hit it there a couple of times, there a couple of times, there a couple of times. So to me, this line is holding price, and then we had a push up, followed by a bearish bar. I think obviously that would have been a bit safer. I think the sense, whether that would, if that would have been, let's say this bar was a bit higher, if that would have been maybe 3 or 4 ticks higher, then it may have encouraged more buyers in, which then would have probably pushed it up. But because it hasn't ticked below, then I'd say you possibly maybe going to have some shorts putting their order below here in case. It's hard to say really. I mean, it's not black and white trading, isn't it? But I mean, to me, they look like a trend. I know there are small. There's one there in a break. You could call that a new high. There a break, new low. I suppose people have got their own interpretation of them. But to me, they look like it was touching perfectly right the way along. In fact, it doesn't often touch any better than that, really. Top pretty good as well, but, and I know we're sort of in a range at the moment. We are sort of chopping sideways, but obviously, channel, we've got to sort of try and find these trades within these channels, within a range. Yeah, see, when I'm on about picking tops and bottoms, channel break, new low, 2 legs down, second entry long, possibly. But if that came down here, broke out of there, bullish bar, those are the ones I'm avoiding, even though they might be a second entry long off the bottom of this range, this trend. But those are the ones I'm just avoiding now. It's come down here and it's pushed up. It's come down here, it's pushed up. It's probably going to do the same. We've had that break in a low, but I'm just trying to avoid these because I just don't seem to have a lot of luck with them. Maybe I read them wrong. I don't know. It's hard to say. fact, I've just had a quick scan at Panda's chart, and he got caught out on that one. He had the same, that small term, that channel down there, break new low. He took that one and lost it. Obviously, fortunately for me, I never got triggered. But he got the channel the same. But I think the issue with that was below the EMA. If that had been up here a bit, then it may have been a bit of a different story. It may have encouraged some buyers in, but yeah, he got caught out on that trade. Unfortunately for him, he got triggered. Mine didn't. I think the issue was that it's below the EMA. If it was, so we got this trend channel, we've had a break. Yeah, we have got these, but we've come down and boom, it stopped right at the bottom of that line. But I think the fact that it hasn't gone higher than that would have kept people out of it. And then obviously we had this one form, and the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah, unfortunately, he got nailed. Yeah, I don't like to see anybody do bad, Jim. Thing is, if you look at some of his older stuff, he does seem to have picked up some bad habits. If you look at some of his older stuff, he had lots of green days. So if I looked on the daily, the way we've popped out of that overall downtrend we've had for the last 12 months or so, was looking like it was going to pull strongly back in. It's hard to say. Hard to say. No, it's certainly not. Certainly not nice lately. It has been very choppy. Mahala, yeah, you take it easy. Thanks for hooking up with us. Thank you. Take it easy. Hopefully, if we can push up here somewhere, break here, and then come down bearish, I'd take that. It's certainly got the impression that we're moving down. We've pushed down in. We've respected sort of the bottom part of this channel, and then we pushed up here, and then we've sort of ridden down the top section of it. So let's see if we can get some in here. Doesn't look like it, does it? There is some support up here, so whether it uses that or not is hard to say. Yeah, there's the overnight lows there, isn't it? Doesn't look like it's going to give us something. I'm just thinking whether it might retest this and then possibly. Certainly looks like just we're looking at the daily. Just the impression you're getting is it's slowly working down. So even if we draw anything from up here, it's just too early for that at the moment, isn't it? We've had a avoiding them above there anyway. Let's see if this does trigger and push up, because that is a failure. See if it does. Looks like it's trying to, doesn't it? It's hard to say, isn't it? But there is some support here. See if it comes down. Maybe a lower high or something. I don't know. We'll see. Judging by the look of things, it's bouncing off that, but I just don't want to take that. I mean, it is a second entry short, but it's just where it is. I'm trying to sort of be a little bit stricter with them and take them below. I mean, if that had pushed down below, it would have been a fair old sizey bar for a start anyway. But there is some resistance here. Certainly thinking bearish. But it's hard to say. That's yeah. I thought it was possible that might happen. That's why I left it alone. Judging by that pushed up, there was a few others who took that. Just trying to think if anybody would have took anything else there. But I think that's why that pushed up a couple of points relatively quickly. If that had been below the EMA, then I may have considered taking it, but I'm just trying to be a little bit strict after that last one. If that one would have, wherever it was, if that one would have been above the EMA somewhere around here, that may have had a different outcome, because you'd have probably got more longs in there. Yeah, that's why I left it, Brant. No, see, if I was going to take that as a second entry short, it would have been after breaking out here. But I am aware that technically, if you'd have done something like that, we've had a break already. I am aware of that. But that looked like I drew that because it actually fitted quite nice with the bottom part of this, the bottom section of this channel under that midline, and then the above. I do notice Mac does mention that quite a bit when he opens these up, so I still think we're likely to get a new low from here, but if this is a bigger overall trend, it might need to work its way up a bit higher, depending on where you take this from. If you take this from here, I mean, obviously it's too early to tell at the moment, but perhaps it may want to push it a little bit higher before it comes down. But I'd like to think that channel's okay, and that we're likely to make a new low. It's hard to say at the moment, it's just too early. But things do look like they're working their way down. We've had this sort of one leg down. Whether you take it from here, I would take it from here. Some may take it from here. I don't know, but I think we're likely to move down. But obviously, it is early yet. Oh dear. God, I've got the yawning fits today for some reason. It's been a bit of an odd weekend. We've had loads of family up and that. We've had sort of lots of family up, lots of late nights. It's been a bit of a weird weekend. Yes, we've had this small trend channel. We've had a break, 2 pushes up to a new high. So whether we'll continue down or not, it's hard to say. I mean, it has pushed down a bit, but it's been quite rejected. So price, obviously, where price has been held below this and pushed strongly, It's holding price on top. Whether that'll push up a bit, it's hard to say. But I think if it can get below these, then maybe. Then I tend to think then we're probably going to make a new low, but it's too early yet. It was, mate. Yeah, thank you, B. Yeah, it was. Good. So I've been up the cemetery this morning. Actually, it's about half a mile where I live. Still full of flowers. It's just a bit of an odd feeling now. It's I think it's starting to sink in a bit. Just feels a little bit weird. But strangely enough, my dad was killed when I was 3. He was it was in the army in Northern Ireland. He's buried there. And when my mum, when it was killed, my mum had the grave plot dug extra deep because she wanted to go in there later on, and that's where she is. So there was a lot of old ex-military guys there saying the last time they were at this grave was 50 years ago when they were burying me dad. So it was quite poignant for a lot of people, I think. I think that's the thing with this military side. With the military family, we've always been part of a military family. It has quite a strong bonding. So there was lots of friends of my dad at the wake, which is quite nice to see because obviously everyone's getting older now. And I'm sort of a member of the Facebook group of the Light Infantry, which is the regiment he was in. So every week now, the old guys are slowly popping off, which is a shame. But yeah, it was a nice send-off. There was a lot of people there. We had a nice get-together after. And a few beers, as you can imagine. Yeah, there is some congestion around here. A little bit of choppiness. So it may push through, but it may use that as a bit of a support and come back down. It's hard to say at the moment, really. But definitely a choppy day, I gotta say. There's a lot of chop around. All this stuff here, a bit around here. A lot here, a lot here. I was kind of hoping they'd be having another offer lately, but they haven't. It's gone a bit flat. I got to say, I'll be shocked if they don't because that affiliate, when that gets 80%, that flies. I mean flies, and it goes down to almost zero. I think I've had two or three, maybe 3 of those in the last, since the Apex evaluate, the sort of 8% off stopped, which was a week and a half ago. You get like 20 times that during the 80% off. So I don't know why they don't do more of the 80% off. I'll be surprised, because that's the thing, when you have affiliate link, you really get a picture of, where things sell, and when they have that 80% off, that goes crazy, and I mean crazy. So obviously I can get an idea by how many of those go, compared to how many Apex is selling. So I'll be surprised if Apex aren't looking at things, thinking, obviously. But I'll be surprised if we don't have one soon. I have 4 accounts that reset at the 80% off 2 different times of the month. Yeah. So I can have 2 accounts at the same time in rotation. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'll be surprised if they don't have something, because that goes really flat. So obviously Apex is selling way more. I mean, the price is usually about twice the price, isn't it, when you're paying 50% off? So they must be selling 5, 6, 8, 10 times the amount when they do the offer. So I'll be shocked. Definitely another quite choppy day again. Yeah, it's holding just under this midline. I'm all right, my friend. How are you? How are you doing? Tired am, I got to say. It's been a heavy weekend. Lots of alcohol. I still don't think I've recovered, to be honest with you. I still feel a little bit dazed. Good on you, mate. Good on you. In fact, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm going to go and make a cup of coffee so I can't wake myself up. I'm going to start dozing off in a minute anyway. I'll be back in 5. Okay, I'm back. I'm coughing up. I'm drawing the green channel down tighter. You see, oh, you mean that? I did draw that. Have it there initially. So I was aware we'd had a break and a new low. I just put it back there because it was. I was aware of it. I put it back there because I've heard Mac mention about the way they sit on one side of the trend channel at the midline and then move over to the other side. So I was aware we'd had a break and a new low anyway. This is let's forget that. This is starting to look. Why isn't that working? Starting to sit more there, really, I think. Let's move him a minute. So that's the open. So call that overnight highs. Yeah, it does seem to be trending now, doesn't it? Ranging rather. We had this push into it, and we've sort of stuck into it. Really, you might bring it down there a bit and sit it there and say you've had a couple of breaks. In fact, that probably. Probably sits a little better. We'll say we had a couple of small pushes out there. Okay, so we've come up, sideways, down, up, sideways, up. So obviously we've had this pushing, but from then on we've just been ranging, haven't we? Really, I think we can say that. Push up, sideways, push down, push up, side. Maybe we'll come down here. Hard to say. Short-term trend, we've had a push up. I mean, you could probably say. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can find something slightly bigger here. Yeah, you could possibly say that. We've had an overshoot, just come back to the side and push down. It's hard to say, really. You could say that. Usually, if you get an overshoot there, we'll get the same here, and then. So, whether that's right or not, we'll leave it there for now. But I can't see where we'd make this wider. Possibly, it's hard to say, really. But Okay, regardless of what we've had here, we've had a new high, so yeah, Speedy Boy. It is a bit untrailable, isn't it? It's quite messy, isn't it? Untradeable, really. Shop lots of sort of sideways and congested area. Congestion here, congestion here, congestion here, congestion here. Lots of congested area all over the place. We seem to have a push, congestion, push, congestion, push, congestion. Now, if you think we're going lower, there is a possible, well, there's a failure there, but this is just right in the middle of this, really. If you stem that over, yeah, it's just risky, isn't it? I'd say it's probably likely we're coming down, but that's just too risky. I'm just thinking if there's going to be second entry, going to be any longs in there. So we're at the top of this. Call this a range day. We're at the top section or the top 3/4 of this area here. So I'd say the trouble is it's just too choppy. You don't really want to get stuck in that. I'd say it's likely it's going to come down, but the trouble is it could trigger down and push up. So it's just sitting and watching time here. Yeah, it certainly is a strange day. We've had loads of these lately, haven't we? See, the last day I traded, Thursday, wasn't too bad. It was a lot more straightforward. But if you look at this now, there's loads of choppy areas all around here, the whole section here. Here. There's just loads of them. It'll push a bit and go sideways, push a bit, it just gets riskier and riskier. I mean, it certainly looks like we're ranging, doesn't it? I don't know, in fact, if I take that up there, that's actually not that bad. Sits there. Probably a bit low, and we may have had some breakouts. It's probably, yeah, it tends to sit better there, doesn't it? Well, whatever it is anyway, but you could say we've had a couple of little breaks, but we're certainly ranging at the moment. It's just, what do? You just can't trade any of it, really. So it is a good lesson in patience. No news today, so I don't know. Appreciate you taking the effort to share your thoughts day over day. You're welcome. Well, it helps me. Definitely makes a life easier, and it's kind of nice to chat to a bunch of other people who are going through the same thing. Yeah, it's just getting even choppier now, isn't it? In fact, if that turns there, I'll bring that up to the next level, actually. See what happens. Yeah, it's just so hard to trade at the moment, this is. Yeah, I'm certainly not thinking about going long. I'm certainly not thinking about going short at the moment either. It obviously seems to be, ever since it's pushed here, it's struggled to break above here. So, certainly ranging for me, whether we're going to go higher, maybe we're going to fill this gap. I think that's possible. It's just hard to say at the moment. It's just, I mean, I just drew that. You could call that a trend channel, but it sort of is, but it just doesn't look very good, does it? You know, it fits there, but it's, you could call that, but I don't know, it's messy as shit at the moment, isn't it? Sideways push up, come back, sideways put. Yeah, I can't, I don't want to draw it because I don't want to trust in it. But for me, it's just unpredictable at the moment. I'm trying to learn to just stay out of this. But I think if we can agree on something, it's certainly a choppy day and it's an unpredictable day. And certainly a range as well. That first sort of, where was it? The first sort of, well, 9 o'clock my time, so it would have been 3 o'clock in the morning, so early hours of the morning for most of you guys. We push below here. That's funny because we use this here and here as a bit of a support point, didn't we? And then we pushed through it and we've stayed here ever since. So whether we'll have a push out here and a move up to you know, towards the open or overnight highs, if you want to call that up here, just to fill that gap. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's just untradeable at the moment, really, isn't it? I think maybe as if we can get up here and then maybe move down a bit, find something on the way down. But this is, although it's going up, it's doing it very unsteadily, isn't it? I've just got to keep in mind, all I really need to look for to be a successful trader is one good trade a day. I'm going for about my 4 points, and most good trades will go for at least that. And I've just got to keep this in mind, not to try and rush things. All I really need to do is take one trade. 2 trades would be fantastic, but one, I could take one solid trade a day, and we'll always usually get at least one, maybe 1 or 2, certainly 1 anyway. I think it's safe to say if you sit here for a few hours, be patient, you'll find one trade, or maybe certainly an average of one easily. If you took 4 points on 2 contracts, that'd be the equivalent of $2,000 a week, which is brilliant on one account with 2 contracts. So I just keep it in mind. All I really need is one trade a day. If I got 2, great. But all I really need is one. And sometimes you sort of, you're looking for every little move, thinking there's got to be something here. So sometimes you just got to sit back and just wait for one to jump out at you. But at the moment, it's just choppy. There isn't. It's just I can't really see where there was a decent trade, really. It's hard to say. I mean, that trend. Well, I can't. I mean, here, if you came down here, then maybe there was a second entry short there, a little bit choppy, but there was a second entry short there, right off the key entry point in a downtrend. That's the 3rd time we've tested it, so you could say there was one there. It was a bit of a stemmy one, but that's certainly one there. Second entry short there. Second entry short there. The key entry point, big bearish bar. That went for it, but it's not the best trade in the world, but it's not a terrible trade. But I just can't see anything that's really obvious. You may have taken a failure there. Second entry short, maybe taking a failure, but it's just the trouble is, as we're pushing up, I'm thinking about this. There's some resistance there. So until it's broken above here, I'm thinking down at the moment. So, you know, I certainly don't want to be taking a failure to go long there with all this sort of congestion area around this sort of light brown line I've sort of shaded. And up to there, I'm expecting to go short, so I wouldn't be thinking long. But apart from that, I can't really see anything that just jumps out at me. Really, I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm not surprised the way as choppy as it is. There's nothing that jumps out at you and go, "Well, there we go, it's a cracker." But yeah, they certainly do. I think what Marco's got from, I was listening to something the other day and he popped into my head about trading like a robot. If you listen to him, he's very calm. He's very robotic in his mannerisms, isn't he? See, I'm quite a wired person. I'm not always that calm. I have my moments, but I like to keep things moving. So I'm just trying to keep calm a little bit and just wait for those trades. But he's very robotic in his trading, which I think is a big plus. I don't think Thomas Wade does much in the way of live trade anymore. He has done in the past, already shown recordings of his live trades. Because he's the one I sort of first started watching, because he was one of the ones I could only see that was posting his losses, which I kind of liked. Because, sometimes if you watch other trader and you watch their charts, you're sort of led to believe sometimes that they never lose a trade. And that can be a little bit, can make you feel a little bit daunting, I'm thinking I'm posting my trades with losers and no one else's. But I'm soon to realise that everybody does, but sometimes they just don't post the losers. I think it's important to post losses because it does help other traders. It makes you realise that you're human, The gap could be filled later in the day. Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? It looks like as we've pushed along here, I'm just wondering if it's going to push up and bounce off the top of this and then push higher. We're not that far away from this gap, are we? Where are we here now? So we're only really filling it. What is that? 10 points. Not a huge amount away, really, is it? It's probably not even 10 points, is it? About 10 points. Which is it's only sort of that distance from there, really, isn't it? Depends if we can. We've pushed through the top line of this range. If we can bounce off it and then push higher, then. It's hard to say, but until something does something, I'm treating this just as a range. See what happens here. We got a short-term trend channel break, couple of pushes up to a new high. See if this bearish bar pulls us back in. Yeah, absolutely. Trouble is, when I started looking at some charts, I'm thinking, why is it only me that lose? Because not many people post their losses. Whether they do it out of embarrassment or what, I just don't know. Sometimes we have genuine losses, and other times we have losses due to maybe a lack of patience, taking something a little bit riskier, or for whatever reason. But I think it's important to show them. Because if you think, more experienced guys take losses, you don't feel that inadequate. And if you take a loss, I think it's important to show losses because losses are part of the game. So if they're teaching you and showing the winners, I think they need to show the losers as well, because they need to show the other part of trading, which is you're going to have losses. All you'll ever read is you've got to get used to the losses. They will happen. But when you're being taught by people who are never showing you losses, I'm thinking, well, is it me, Even more important to explain why. Absolutely, yeah, because when you do have a loss, you do learn something from it. As we know, some people ignore them as a fact. Yeah. Mac believes if you know price action... No, I certainly believe if you're good at price action, your losses are kept to a minimum. I don't doubt there's traders who are making 95% without any great difficulty. I mean, people like Vlad, he says he trades at 95. If he's experienced and he does just take second entry failures, then I don't see why he certainly can't be you relatively easily trading at 90% plus. I think that's fair to say. But yeah, the trouble is, when you're learning about the psychological side, losses always come into the conversation, because that's the difficult part, dealing with your losses. So if somebody's teaching you to trade, people like Mac and that, I think it's important that they show you that side of trading, because you have to show people that it's okay to take a loss. You're not inadequate, or you're not doing something wrong, because if all you ever see people win, it's naturally going to be, sitting in your head thinking, what is it just me, So I wish people would, I respect someone more if they show losses. That's why I started watching Thomas Wade, because he posted his losses, and I kind of like that. And who's the guy with Top Pick Trading with Marker? Who's the guy? He posts the odd one as well. He posted one a couple of weeks ago, and I think he posted a trade a lot of us got caught out on. And I kind of like the fact that they do that, because they need to teach the sort of newer, less experienced generation that even these experienced guys that make money have losses. And I kind of like watching the Gorilla guy as well, because he's quite happy to post his losses, and he talks quite a lot about them. And I think he's quite he does take some riskier trades, but that enables him to take more trades, and he can get quite a lot of points in a day. He certainly goes for 5-6 points minimum. So if you're risking 2-3 points to go for 5-6 points minimum, you can certainly have a sort of lower winter reward ratio. That seems to have pulled us quite strongly back in so far. There's so many factors to win rate, though. Your win rate will be higher if you went for smaller target profits. Plenty of losers went to. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it goes without saying, the more points you go for, the more losses you're going to have. But if you're going for 2 points and you're going for 5 points, theoretically, you can lose twice as much. So like that, the Gorilla guy goes, it's not about your win to reward ratio. Sorry, loss to win. I've gone blank now. It's about how many points you make on your winners compared to your losers. If you're risking on average 3.5 points, which is probably somewhere around about average 3.5 points, and you're making double that, then obviously it's not so much important your win to loss ratio. It's more, as he says, it's more about how many points you make when you do win. But there are lots of different variables. Everyone's got their own idea of things. But it's a personal thing, isn't it? Some people still stick to the 1 point. For instance, I saw one of his videos. He made 19 points on one of them, and he went for the whole. He sort of trades the whole package. He doesn't, have so many, like three contracts with a lower profit, and then has one as a runner. He tends to run the whole thing. The Gorilla guy, Gorilla Futures Trader, something like that. You can actually join his. You can watch him trade, but I think it's $100 a month to actually watch him trade. But just watch some of his videos. He's actually quite good with the psychological side as well. See, there is a lower high there, which is tempting, but at the moment it's been quite choppy. We have pushed out of this, but at the moment I'm still seeing upward movement, so I'm just staying out. But since whatever time it was this morning, we've been in this channel and we've just broken out of it. So I'd say it's hard to say. Pushed through it and we've retested the top. Maybe worth a trade, but it's hard to say. I'm going to leave it alone at the moment. I agree with it saying Gorilla says 4 8 ticks suicide Yeah. But everyone's got their own way of doing it. Mac still scalps a point. Probably not a bad trade there. I'm going to take that, actually. It is a lower high. No, actually, I'm going to leave it. It's been quite choppy. I'm just not trusting what I'm seeing at the moment. We've broken our list. I'd like to think we're coming back, but I'm still thinking about we may push up, so I wouldn't be shocked if we broke below that and pushed up. So although it is touching, it is price is being supported by the bottom section, this line, but if that comes down here now, that's 3 back to back, so I think that's risky. That looks like congestion to me, so I'm trying to be good and behave myself, but I wouldn't be shocked if that came down there and pushed up bullish as a second entry long and pushed a bit higher, because I am seeing this as a possible area. And the way that's triggered already and going a bit sideways, it tells me I've made the right decision to stay out of that. I'm not saying it's not going to come down, it possibly will be, but it's just the way they're sitting exactly the same, that's congestion to me, and just got to stay out. Go for a short if we get a failure. Yeah, I mean, if we get a failure, then that's, yeah, it's a different story, but it's just, that's clearly congestion, just the way that one's playing out, up, down, up, down. It has ticked below, but it's tempting, but the rule is we stay out of congestion 3 more bars there. That's clear congestion. Doesn't, and then let's face it, there's been plenty of congestion. You may have even thought, this is coming down because we're at the top of the range, and what happens? It's come down a little bit and pushed up higher. So it's just from what I'm seeing there, we get a push up sideways, pull down sideways. It's just risky. Yeah, conflicting patterns. Yeah, it's not clear. I mean, we've been going up at the moment, but we've broke above this. I think it's clear to say we've been trending ever since we pushed in this morning. Ranging. And it looks like a breakout and a pullback, but just the way this is sitting, it's just... I think that's like going out on a tightrope without a safety rope or a safety net. It's probably going to come down, but we have these rules for a reason. I'm just trying to follow them. Guaranteed. See what I mean? As soon as you leave it, it pushes it down. But I guarantee if I took that, it'd have triggered and stopped me out. But yeah, I think part of it is you've got to be okay with leaving things. Because if I took that and I made a few points, it would teach me that maybe I don't need to think about 3 bars side by side, when really I do, because if you look, they're sitting exactly the same. That they couldn't be almost identical, those bars, could they? And although that made it this time, it might not the next time, and I've got to be okay to leave things alone. Matt would say it's obvious. Yeah. I'm not trading a PA account. I had one. I did really well on it up until a point where I started picking tops. I can tell you what the trade looked like the first time I come in on that. I had a $2,500 losing day, or 2,300. We came in here, pushed up a little bit, and I took a short off here, failed. Went a bit higher, I took another short. And it just messed with my head. And instead of walking away on minus $700, I just... and I got to say, when you get into a day like that and you start to see those dollars start to drop, it's like being on the worst fairground ride you've ever been on, because trouble is, the bigger the losses, the more psychological effect they have on you, and sometimes you can just spiral, and that's what happened to me. And the following day wasn't much better. I lost about $1,900, so I lost about just a little over $4,000 on my P account in 2 days. So if I'd have followed the rule and lost two trades and walked away, or switched to a demo or whatever, then I'd have probably lived to tell the tale. But I will say, if I get 2 losses on a P account again and walk away, the $700 won't seem half as bad, because I've been to minus $2,400, so an $800 loss, or doesn't actually seem that bad, so I don't think it'll hurt nowhere near as much. But, it's part of it. It's not all plain sailing. Just because, you can... I think with the $2,000 I took out, I got the account up to 7,400. But I did do it, so I can do it. I just need to keep those standards. That's a failure now, isn't it? I'm just wondering whether there's going to be guys going along there. That's a failure. See how that finishes. Even if it comes down to this area. Let's see how that finishes, because I wouldn't be shocked if there's traders going long there. So let's see what happens here. But we have had 2 legs down, haven't we? So it's just hard to say, really. After blowing 2 PA counts, I've blown about 8 PA counts all in all, but that's the one I got up to a level where I was earning money. So it's kind of a nice feeling. See how this finishes. Okay, I kind of like that. That's a failure. See if it triggers. You can do that, yeah. I'm not a fan of doing that, and I'll tell you why. Because I set it at X amount of dollars, and I lost the first trade, and the second trade hit my target and cancelled the trade, and I actually would have went on to win that trade. So I don't like that, to be fair. Okay. That's triggered. That's a failure. EMA's facing down. We've at the top of this, we've clearly broken out. I think there's probably likely going to be some longs in there, so if that can come down to here, then maybe we'll come down to this congested area here. So if I'm going to probably put that somewhere around about there, 3.25 points, see what happens. I'd feel more comfortable if that broke below there. In fact, I'm going to bring this down here and just wait for it to get here, and then let's make an imaginary line where, and if we do manage to get down. So, if you recount these 3, that's a second entry long there. If that triggers and comes down, I think we might be a little bit better off. Let's see how we get on. Right, we need to break here. Certainly a failure. It's where I like it, but it did go a little bit sideways, so I'd be much more comfortable when we broke below this bar here. Someone else did mention they take a failure, so we need to break below here. I think there we go. So I feel a bit more confident now. So where are we going to take this? There is a lot of congestion around here, so what I'm probably going to do is take my stop down. Sorry. Just wondering, is there some buying areas around here? Which I'd like to break below. If we can break below places like that, I think we've got a good chance of going lower. If we can break below there, see how we get on. You took that, but you're out, are you? Yeah. I'd certainly take it to somewhere around about here. See how we get on. I can't see how anyone would think about buying here at the moment. It's definitely a failure. See how we get on. I mean, the thing is, what you've also got to be careful about is being scared of pulling the trigger when an opportunity does come. And I think we've had a push up, we've had a break, few legs to a new high, broken out the top of this range, which we've been clearly ranging. I was thinking down, so whether we'll continue down, but we've had this bar and we've pulled back in a little bit of sideways, and it's a failure. It's a tick or two off the perfect bar, I'd say. And there may have been some longs there which got trapped and triggered. So I don't think there's going to be an awful lot of longs here, and it is where I like it. It is facing down. I mean, it could come right the way down, but it's hard to say. So I don't want to be too greedy. Once we get down to around about here, I think I'll put me stop in. But this may be also 2 legs down. So it is congested around here, so I might not. I'm going to stick that there so I don't lose. There is some congestion around here. I put that bar in there as a bit of a guidance of where it may get hit. So let's come down here now and put that there. So at least I'm securing myself a few $100s. Hopefully it'll go a bit lower. There's likely going to be some longs in there. I don't know whether we'll come down here without hitting me stop. Okay, I'm all right with that. I'd say there's possibly second entry long there. That is right. Might not be the most bullish of bars, but it is a second entry long. Been a strong push up, a lot of sideways. So then that was sort of at the bottom of that range. So there may have been some longs there, but I just didn't want to be too greedy. Green is green, yeah. So what was that? $325. So I'm happy with that. I like to get a minimum of 1-to-1. If it comes down lower, then great. But my confidence level would be much happier taking a guaranteed $325 here. I put that line there because there's a lot of congestion here, so I was expecting. I mean, it may come down a lot further. I won't be shocked if it does, but I'd rather just sort of get there slow and steady, and it's nice to guarantee points rather than sit here. We may get another pullback to here, you know what I mean? And I may regret it. So sometimes, thanks, Jacko. Sometimes it's nice just to get your money, isn't it, and not be too greedy. You know, if I can get my PA up to a nice figure, you know, maybe $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever, you know, then I may decide to sort of, you know, get me stop to break even and try and get a little bit more out of the odd one. But at the moment, I'm looking at all this to the side of it, and if we look what's happening now, it's slowed right down. We had a quite strong push down to here, but it's doing exactly the same as it was doing there. So I'd rather get out down here and get me points. Yeah, I got out right there, which is that line I put there initially was at the bottom section of this, and that's where I got out, tick below it, I think. So I'm all right with that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 3.25 points. That'll do me. 3.25 points. Anybody else take that? Test down the lows. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility it's going to come down, isn't it? It may come back up a little bit, but I'm just seeing that at the moment, and it's just been that choppy. I mean, to be honest with you, if I can get that every single day, if you said to me, I'll guarantee you that every day, I'd snap your hand off. So I always like to get green on my first trade because I don't think I've lost a trade after I've started off on a green, because you get that, I don't want to lose it now. You know, if I go away at the end of the day on that, I'm a happy bunny, you know what I mean? If you can go away and guaranteed sort of $325, that's good. Especially when you got days like that, because a lot of people might get sort of chopped up around that. Obviously the Panda guy took that one, which is the one I saw, fortunately for me, It never got triggered. My order got kicked out. So obviously, at the end of the day, sometimes you can have a bit of luck, and sometimes you're not going to have a bit of luck. But it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Sometimes you might luckily get in a trade or made a mistake, and it might go in your favour. Other days, you make a mistake, and it won't. But no, I'm a third of the way there now, so that's good enough for me. It's only 2 days. I did do a micro yesterday just to count as the day, so effectively this Friday would be day 7. So not that I'm going to try and do it in that time, but I like to get the days clocked up if I'm not trading by just 1 tick micro, because if I do happen to have a good day, and it would be a shame to have to trade again Monday if it was due to pass. So yeah, I think that was an okay trade actually. I can't see any real issues with it. Clearly ranging. We've had this short-term trend channel, we've had a break, and we've had 1, 2, 3 pushes up to a new high. Big bearish bars come strongly below. A little bit of congestion, but we've had another push down followed by a failure. I thought there may be some longs in there. It's a shame it didn't get down to here, because I thought there may be a few more longs in here, because when you've had that push up, a lot of the time it'll come out the opposite direction. So I can't see where else there'd have been some longs in there. Possibly, I don't know. Maybe a few there. It's hard to say. Penguin's power has been out. I'd love to see that guy trade. Now, from what I can see, if he does as well as he seems to do, he's got a real talent for reading the charts. I can't deny that. But obviously trading live, as we discussed earlier, a lot of people, don't necessarily post their losses. And I don't think I've seen him post a loss. I don't know. He might have done. I don't want to just say he hasn't. In fact, I think he might have done actually. But I think he's been trading a few years, but I've got to say, if he trades as well as he looks like he trades, then I think the guy's a genius, you know what I mean? I've had days where you've struggled to get one, or, I've lost a bit. I've seen V. Wilson struggle a bit, the Panda guy a bit, and even I think Marco only posted one trade. He posted 5 trades, and a lot of them were 2-to-1. So if he trades as well as he seems to be, he's incredibly good at it. I wish I could trade like that. I got to say, he's way ahead of me. Just his analysis and just the way he reads the markets. But he does come over as quite a clever guy. He's very. You sold my stuff. He does come over as quite a switched on guy. He sounds very clear. He seems to know what he's talking about. Solid resistance. Yeah, that's why I come out here. I put that line there because I don't like to be too greedy at the moment, because the way it is, I took a couple of trades, I think a week and a half ago, and I waited, and I ended up losing on what would have been a 3-point trade. So what was the I-28? So that was a 3. Okay, so that was 3 points. So tick above, tick below, 3.5 points, and I got 3.25. So that's good enough for me. I came out literally here. Now I could have held on for another maybe point and a half, something like that. But once we get below these areas here, it gets a bit risky. And if I would have waited longer, it'd have pushed back up, and my arse would have been shitting it. Now, I wasn't to know we were coming down again, but it does look like we're coming right down now. So, see that? I mean, if you're experienced, you could probably stay in that a bit longer. I mean, if you've got a nice big bank balance, then maybe you don't mind risking 3 points to try and get. Because I know that gorilla guy, that guy's got balls of steel, but. When did we get in there, didn't we? Yeah, so there's 8 points there. I'd say it's kind of likely. I wouldn't be shocked if it comes right the way down. It's just nice to get green. It is a nice feeling. I want to get more of that feeling, and the only way I do that is to sit back and take some good trades, and I don't think that was a bad one. 2 pushes down, back to the MA, failure, and it went down nicely. Resistance killed, yeah, it did sit a bit here, which is what I expect, which is why I put that line there as a bit of a target to try and get out, rather than having to keep looking left. So I think I made a good decision there. I'd rather get a guaranteed $325 than try and get a bit greedy at the bottom section of this. In fact, it didn't come down to this. That would have been the sort of the lowest area of this congestion here, this sideways stuff. It wouldn't have come down. So if it had come back up here, I'd have probably panicked and got out without, losing a little bit. Good break and a new low setup coming. Yeah. Certainly looks like we're coming down, aren't we? Now there is some congested area around here, so I expect it to stall a bit here. And I like doing this just so it helps me get used to reading this, because I had the same here and it sort of did what I expected. So that looks like a nice channel down there. It's nice. In fact, that's probably one of the nicest channels we've had so far, apart from the short-term ones, because everything else has just been a little bit riskier. That's not too bad, actually. I think it was likely it was that. I did put that initially, but then I moved it. But I was aware we'd had the break in the new low anyway, so it probably looks... if we'd have continued lower, then I might have extended it a bit, but I was aware. Trouble is, I don't like to extend them too much, because sometimes you can forget that we've already had a break. But I know me and Brant had a bit of a discussion about that the other day. Not trying to open them up too much. I mean, that one, I think it's fair to say that's pretty clear, isn't it? Touch, 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 touch. It all fits nicely both sides, so I think it's fair to say. I don't think there's no arguments that that's a channel. Second entry, long failure. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be thinking about going long here. We have hit that midline. Maybe we may get a bit of a break at some point, but I certainly expected to stall a bit around here. I think because we've had this break and we've pushed back strongly and we have been ranging, I'm expecting it to come down here somewhere, at least maybe. I expect it to stall a bit here and maybe a little bit below it, but I expect it to get probably the most part of this channel. But I am still aware that there was a gap, and we still may move up to fill this gap. But that's just, those little things are in the back of my mind somewhere. But I expect it to get the most of this, use the most of this channel down. Yeah. Trouble is, I mean, if it does, and we can get I'm quite happy going short again. In fact, I can get rid of that now, I think. Yeah, I mean, if we can cut the legs up to around about here, finishing bearish, then I'm quite happy going short again. But I think most people will expect this to come down, so I'll be shocked if it doesn't even. I won't be shocked if it doesn't pull out. Maybe have a break here. See with this one as well, another short down it. Oh, it barely got back. None of this. I mean, it came down a few times before it got back. So, and we're getting quite a bit beyond it now, aren't we? So, I expect a bit of a stall here, but if it does pull back, it may not even get back that far. Incidentally, if anybody is taking a evaluation later, I have a code on here for 50% off. It is 50% off everywhere at the moment, but you need to put a code in to get it, I think, just in case they charge you full price. But I get a kickback from here, a small kickback. It's about 15%. So personally, it's not something I'm looking for at the moment. Another one, I prefer to wait until they have a better offer on, which they do now and again. But if you are in the market for one, I have the code there. I'd appreciate if you use it. Or, use anybody's if you got someone else's, or you got another mate or another guy you stream, no problems. But if you are looking for one and you don't use anyone's code, then mine's there, and I'd appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anything. That's the only reason I have it. I don't expect people to pay to see me trade. Far from it. So let's see if we get a break here. I'm quite glad the EMA started moving down a bit quicker because we seem to overtake it. And the same there, really. And by the time you get back to it, you're nearly down the bottom. Trouble is, it's just not close enough, really, that, isn't it? I prefer it to push through, I do. I like it when they sort of push through it like this or like that and finish that type of bar there where it pushes strongly through, closes just below it. That's what I like. They're the trades I like to take. Which leads me to thinking that trade again. I don't think what I've put there is bad. Fits nice, fits there, fits a bunch of times, but we had this small channel, we had a break and a new low, and it bounced off here, but that ideally really should have been maybe up here. If that had pushed up to here, then I'd say maybe then there'd have been a lot more longs in the market if it triggered above it, and obviously if there's a lot more, obviously the way it came back down, there wouldn't have been a lot of long orders above there because it's below the EMA. Whereas if it had pushed up to about that high, I think a lot more would have jumped in and that would have took it higher. But I don't think the context was bad, just obviously where the signal bar finished. Okay, we've had a break. Let's zoom in a bit here in case we get a setup. Now, this is where I get extra cautious now. I've got this. I don't like to try. That's one of the good things about getting in the green. You want to stay there. There's nothing worse than getting in the green and then going out. Now, hand on heart, I don't think I've lost a trade after I've started off green during that day because I'm quite happy going home on that. I'm quite happy. There's nothing nicer than going home, and that's quite a nice chunk of change. That'll do for me. I'm quite happy finishing the day on that. It's a nice feeling. You feel like you've done your job. You can relax for the evening, but if you've had a bad day, the evenings just don't quite feel as comfortable. So, okay, so we've got this clear channel moving down, and we've had our first break of it. So we need a second entry short, really. And not taken within there. We want it to break there, then come up here a little bit in an ideal world. But I think part about trading is we know that if we get a nice setup here, it's likely to come down to here or lower. But sometimes if you've sat here for a long time, it's very easy to try and force something. And that's where the better traders tend to shine because they're quite happy. I'm kind of glad it's. I kind of like it also where it bounces off the bottom of this section as well. Gives it a little bit more support. But yeah, that's where the more proficient traders shine because they're quite happy to. If it doesn't form perfectly, they're quite happy to walk away, and that's what we all sort of want to aspire to, really. But it's easier said than done when you're still relatively fresh. Yeah, I've got no problems going home one up. That'll do me. If another one doesn't pop up, I'm fine. I'm just happy to get the one. If I can get the one every day, if you can get one trade, winning trade every day, you're made. You're made. You times that by 5. There's what, over $1,500 in a week just on one account. $1,500, and that's over $6,000 a month just on one account. That's just getting one a day. $6,000 in a month. You have 10 counts. That's $60,000 in a month. The potential is huge. And it seems like it's going to be simple, but there's a there's a massive divide by knowing it's there and getting some of it. So that's where this keep trying and keep pushing and keep learning. If you're going to fail, then you get up, do it again. Fail, do it again. I've failed plenty of times. I've failed more than most, I'd say. Yeah, there's definitely some resistance around about there. Fits nice there. And strangely enough, if you look at that, it's weird how this thing works sometimes. Let's do a straight line, make it a bit clearer. If you look at that, if you zoom into there, and look, finish on the body, touch, 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 finished, but look what it's finished. So these bits do play a part. You think the markets are random sometimes, but sometimes you look back, there's no denying there. Finished, 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 finished. Close on the body, close on the body. Yeah, this you can't argue with that. So it just goes to show when you can get support, you can also get resistance where it struggles to get through. I'm not saying it's not going to go through, but I'd say the more there is there, especially on the break, the more we've likely is to come back down, to come down, further down. And obviously we've had this break. Fortunately, you could say that's a first entry with broken med effect. Yeah, there's clearly a break, but it's just sideways, isn't it? So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a setup here. It's certainly looking less likely when if that comes down, we've got 4 bars in. And as likely as it is going to come down, it's just risky, isn't it? No, I did look at that. Could you call that hidden second entry long? But as soon as I see them 3 there, and especially now number 4, I just let it ride. I don't mind. It's not just, to be honest with you, as long as I'm up 1, I'm happy. You know, I've got to change I think sometimes you've got to come back to earth. You can have all these plans of what you're going to earn, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the way I'm seeing it now, I'm just trying to reel it in. Excuse me, I'm just trying to reel it in. If I can get 1 a day, that just 1 good trade a day will make you near on $6,000 a month. Let's say you have a bad day or something goes wrong. Even if you take 1,000 off, that's $5,000 a month. Just on 1 account, you can have up to 20. So you work that out. It doesn't take a genius, does it? 10 accounts. You know, even if you're getting 10 accounts and you're withdrawing $2,000, you're sticking to 2 contracts, you're withdrawing $2,000 off each account, times 10, that's $20,000 a month. No one's going to say that is not, no one will argue with me when I say that is serious money. You know, even if you trade 10 months of the year, just on 1 account, taking $2,000 out a month, you're making $200,000 a year, you know, and if you can do that, you can obviously do a lot more. Have I watched Joseph James? I haven't, Anthony. Are you a new face, Anthony? I'm trying to think if we talked before. I don't know. If you're not, welcome. Have you watched Joseph James? I haven't, no. Joseph James. Is he on YouTube, is he, Anthony? Yeah, that's some serious congestion there, isn't it? I like to think we're going lower, but after this, you would expect it to make a new low, certainly down to here. And it's probably going to do it, but it's just too congested there, as tempting as it is. Especially 4 back-to-back now, you just can't do it. But if we push down and make a lower high or a failure, we're going to be too low from that EMA, I think. Take a lower high or a second entry off the resistance. I don't think you can take anything safely because of that lot. The resistance is here, isn't it? If we pull down a bit, push down a bit, and then maybe get something low, it's hard to say. I mean, that's clearly a break in a new high. Well, a matching high. I think we're probably going to come down here, but that's unfortunately the thing it usually does. There's no real second entry there. It's just congested. You can't go short here. As lately as we know it's going to come down, and it has done for a couple of points, and the reason you don't take it because it could push back up, and you just don't know. Yeah, so we're seeing that and thinking, oh yeah, we come down, but look what's happening now. Yeah, see, there's some buyers there for sure, isn't there? Pushing that back up. Okay, so you could say first entry, second entry. Now, short, that might be a good idea for short because when it breaks there, there's obviously some buyers there, isn't there? But if that pulls down here, it's going to be fair size bar. So you could count that. You could say first entry, second entry, failure. Or you could recount these. Oh, you knew, are you? Yeah, well, where are you from, my friend? Where are you from? Yeah, see what I mean? That's quite a bit of rejection, that is, off that midline. That's why I wouldn't have taken that, because I'd be expecting it to come down here and I'd probably be sat with that on my arse. I'd be twitching now. That could come up and stop you out. It's hard to say. I don't think it will, but it could do. Yeah, they do, yeah. Sometimes when you get that, I used to have a separate order here just for 1 point. And if we used to get lots of them in a row like that, I'd put an order above there just for 1 point. Because a lot of the time it would break through dramatically and then pull back quickly, which is why I used to just set it at 1 point. But I stopped doing it. Don't ask me why. Yeah, you could call that a failure. But it is a bit congested here. I don't like the fact that that's done that. But I'd say it's probably likely going to come down, but you just don't know, do you? Yeah, he's on YouTube. Doesn't trade the two-legged pullback. I like some of his ideas, but not his strategies. Yeah, see, the thing is, you've got to learn something and stick with it. And I've been learning this max system for a little over a year and a half. So I know I've come across some people that will go from strategy to strategy. And I think they're missing the bigger picture, that these strategies that seem straightforward, the plan's straightforward, but executing them, obviously you've got to take into consideration the context of the market. And that's where it takes the time. You would think second entry, I take a second entry, how can that be? All I've got to learn is what a second entry is, but it's the biggest picture. The toughest part of the strategy is applying it in the right context of the market. It's okay taking a second entry long here, but coming down at the moment. So, and I think some people get into these strategies and think it doesn't work or it's hard, but it's not as simple as following some rules. You've got to apply it in the right context, and there lies the problem. Yeah, I'd say it's quite likely we're going to break this low based on what I'm seeing here, but trouble is congestion. You could have taken that as a failure, but there was just something about it I didn't like there. They're a little bit. That was a little bit sideways. That was a little bit sideways. But I think we sort of all knew the chance of it coming down was pretty high. Yeah, what it wants today. Yeah, there was nothing obvious there. It certainly wasn't an obvious setup. You may have took that one. And I think you got 2 points out of it. It's just a little bit of congestion there. And same here, it's just something I didn't like about it. So we'll see some buys in the market because that went down and pushed strongly back up, closed on its high. So, okay, there's our new low. Well, we'll tick off our new low, I think. So yeah, there's no argument. We're in a range today, that's for certain. We've pushed out here. I think that's probably the top of the range. We've had a push out here, strongly pull back in, push back in, sorry. Excuse me. There is some resistance around here, which is why I've drawn this shaded area. So it may struggle a bit here, but I think it's likely if we had something similar here. I think it's likely we're going to come down. But we have made a new low anyway, so that has played out, and there is a big bullish bar, and I'd have taken that at the times. I'd see that as a second entry long. We've made a new long. I mean, technically that's played out, isn't it? You could then theoretically look to go long, but at the moment we're in this we're in this range, and I think it's likely we're going to come lower. Didn't trigger anyway, so crap signal bar. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think every time you fail something, especially now, I've got to the sort of what I would class as the early parts of the intermediate level now. I'll pass the beginner stage, and it's the intermediate level. You can sort of have a new level of struggle because you get to the level now where you're capable of making good trades and you're capable of making money. But sometimes the emotions can kick in because you can, like me, I had 18 days in a row. I got that account up to 7,400, and you can get a little bit. You've been struggling for so long to make money, and now you're finally making it. You can get that sort of air of actual belief now and confidence, and that's where you can stumble, I think. And I think I did as well. I remember saying to my wife, it's not a case of can I do it now, it's I am doing it. And that can, winning lots of trades can sometimes be detrimental because you can get that air of confidence and a little bit too confident. And, all of a sudden you get this massive surge of belief. I'm actually making money now. And that can be the emotions that come with success as well can sometimes catch you out. So I'm on what I class as that intermediate level where I've managed to get somewhere, and now I've just started going a little bit sideways. So I need to just keep it real, keep being cautious. Just because you're making money and you've managed to get an PA account doesn't mean it's all of a sudden going to get easier. The markets don't change. You still got to be careful. You've still got to take those good setups. So it's very easy to get a little bit too confident, a bit cautious. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. So, okay, so you move on, you learn from it. So I'm trying now, if I see something that doesn't look right, I mean, that clearly is congestion. We've had a push-up, we've had a break out of it, but not a clear high, and it's congestion, which mean alarm bells. Now, I think it's likely going to come down because this is what you'd expect. But it might not do it in a fashion, and you may get caught out. Fortunately, this time it came down, but guaranteed every time you jump in there, it'll tick below, push up, stop you out, and then come down here like a rocket. So you just, as sure sometimes as you are that it's going to come down, sometimes you just got to let it and just have that, make that decision to just sort of let it go and let it leave you behind. There's always other options. And it's I got to say, it's certainly a lot easier to do that when you're up. So I know, even if we get no more setups, I'm going home in the green, and that's all we want to do, really. Every time you go home in the green, that evening feels a lot nicer. So yeah, congestion here. Same here. People are thinking, that's an area of uncertainty, because normally you would expect that to go down, wouldn't you? You would be thinking, we're in a channel. Generally, things will come down, but it doesn't always work that way, and it doesn't always do it in an orderly fashion. I did put that mark there because there's some resistance there and some congestion, and it showed that by bouncing off here and bouncing off here. So I think it's likely it might need a bigger run up, but it's very easy just to get stuck. And okay, guys, I think I'm going to call it there for the day. Still going a little bit choppy and a little bit going for touch over 3 hours. And I'm thinking with that little hiccup there where I could have got caught out, I got lucky there, which is nice to get a bit of luck now and again. Sometimes a bad trade you get kicked out of before you have a chance to fill it, and I think that one was okay. It came down nicely. But it's a little bit congested, so yeah, I think it's time now just to go home, finish for the day, and so at least we're in the green. We've got about 3.25 points. Thanks, Jacko. About 3.25 points, and we're in the green. Everything's good. Everything's rosy at the moment. This is day 3. Although I've only traded 2 days, I did a tick micro just to count the days. So we're a third, touch over a third of the way there. So hopefully, if I keep playing it careful, be choosy with my trades, keep the standards up, try not to get too excited. Hopefully, then we'll get back to a PA account and see if we can build this one, as well as keeping standards and following that 2 loss trade rule. If I'd have taken that 2 loss trade rule, I'd have probably still been here today. So, but these things are sent to test us. Trading isn't easy. All of a sudden, once you start to make money, it doesn't mean trading's all of a sudden going to get easy, because it's not. You've still got to keep those. You've still got to be strict. You've still got to keep that discipline. but hopefully with time it gets a little bit more relaxing, and the losses don't hurt as much, and I think then in time things tend to improve. So glad you did well. Thank you. What? Thanks, Osam. So yeah, nice chatting with you guys. I'll be here again tomorrow. So if you're carrying on, have a good day. If you've taken some trades today, I hope they've been green ones. I hope you haven't made mistakes as much like me. So have a great day, and I'll be here again from just before the market opens tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe, and I will chat with you all tomorrow.